If you are in a relationship and you are struggling big time and you have a lot of challenges there, then this video is meant for you. Welcome back, and I'm Puchita Singh, a certified life coach, NLP coach, and an author. A very common thing that I see why relationships fail literally every single day is because of one major factor that a man or a woman does with each other. And you know what is that? It's no surprise and no brainer. It is about being very possessive about the life partner. I have seen a lot of men or a woman who generally love doing this, and it comes very, very naturally to them, where they start controlling his or her life partner. Getting married doesn't mean that you have to start controlling each other's life. No, we don't get married for this reason. Imagine if you control a child, how does the child behave? The child does everything opposite. The child starts lying to you. If you see this with adults as well, right? You see this with money. Nothing which you control is gonna breathe. So how are you expecting the relationship to breathe? Any relationship, it doesn't have to be your intimate relationship or your spouse relationship. Any relationship, whether it is between parents, children, or your in-laws, any relationship, or siblings for that matter, or children for that matter, or any relationship like co-worker or colleagues and so much more, it's not gonna work out. When you control a relationship, it starts becoming toxic. Initially, it starts, maybe saying that, oh, this is how I care for you. Fine, that's awesome that I have somebody who cares for me. But when that caring becomes controlling, monitoring, investigating, that's where the problem starts. I've seen very commonly, and I can just narrate one or two examples so that you can resonate with what I'm talking. When a woman sees a man talking to a female colleague, the questions will be like, whom are you talking to? How do you know this person? When did you meet her? And what is her role at workplace? And so much more. Why do you have to do that? It goes the same way for men, right? The moment a man starts seeing a woman with a male colleague or a male friend with whom she's giggling, laughing, having some fun time, it's because you are too strict back home. It's because she's not breathing in her relationship back home. It goes the same way for men. If you are controlling by saying so-called being possessive, this is not how it's gonna work out. Of course, it might work out for some time, saying that I'm newly married, so I'm very possessive, this is how I love you, this is how I care for you. I'm sorry, but that's BS. Right? Don't do this. If you want your relationship to breathe, give that space, give that freedom, allow that person to be that being. The biggest reason or the biggest thing that human beings love is freedom. If you're killing freedom in his or her life, she's gonna die, he's gonna die. He or she will start lying and then start doing things outside marriage. Then it's much more. Taking certain decisions without informing each other, without talking to each other, without being true to each other. And then that's where they check out from marriage and so much more. Then you hear some intermarital or rather people who are looking outside their marriage and so much more. Please don't do that. If you want your relationship to survive, breathe, and live peacefully and happily, don't be possessive about your life partner. Have a dialogue, have a conversation with her or him, saying, hey, you know what, when you do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I feel that you're tracking me, I feel that you're monitoring me, I feel that you're controlling me. It's not gonna survive. This is not how relationships work, right? And it will start reflecting in how you're treating your child. If you see, okay, let's take this example, right? If you hold anything tight, let's say a rubber band, right? A rubber band or a thread, you hold it tight and then you stretch it so much, it's gonna break. It will not survive. Same goes with relationships. I have seen so many people lying to their spouses just because they don't get freedom at home, right? They make all all kind of excuses like I'm going to meet a friend, or you know what, I have a lot of work in office, I have a meeting today, so I'll be late at home. No, it leads to relationships outside marriage. It is as simple as that. I am not here to create any doubt in your mind, but it is very logical and practical. When you're controlling anything, it's not gonna survive, it's not gonna be alive. And then eventually that gets very toxic, that gets like into controlling each other so much that it starts becoming physical abuse or verbal abuse and so much more. And then eventually a lot of other repercussions start showing up in family. The day you lie to your spouse when you're doing something wrong in your relationship is the day that means the life partner is doing something wrong, and both of you are doing something wrong to each other because of which this is happening. If any person in a relationship, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, or a husband or a wife, if they are lying to you, I'm not talking about those small lies like there is a saying, right? If there is a lie which you say for the other person or yourself, if it's for the good, then it's not a lie. I'm sorry, it's a BS in concepts like in relationship discussion, right? So very clearly, if your spouse is lying to you for anything very very important, just to get rid of you, just to stay away from home, just to make excuses so that he or she doesn't get into this trap of home because he or she doesn't have freedom, having a conversation on WhatsApp or any social media, hiding away from spouse, and spending long hours at work, making excuses of works and meeting with spouse while you're doing something else outside. I'm not saying meetings and works do not happen at times. It does go longer at times, genuinely. But if you are using that as an excuse to get rid of home situation, and you're lying to your spouse that, hey, I have this work and I'm going to do this, but you're actually not doing that, the fundamental problem lies that there is no freedom in your relationship. Both of you or one of you is extremely possessive about the other one and cross that line of giving space to each other, because of which they feel that they don't have the space to breathe, and they are afraid of telling you the truth. They are also afraid to share the real reason, because they know if they did this last time, this is how they were treated, so they will stop doing it, right? Any relationship can be solved in terms of issues if you are speaking to your spouse, if you're having a conversation. Anything in life can be solved if it's a conversation or if there is a conversation. And anything can be messed up if there is a miscommunication or misunderstanding or no communication. I will anyways talk about that element for some other day, but today is all about allowing your relationship to breathe. Lot of times the same boyfriend girlfriend who become husband and wife start hating each other because of how they have crossed the line of not giving that space to each other. Certain days are just meant for you, certain days are just meant for family, or certain days can be meant for both. It's fine. Have a conversation, just understand what's gonna work out. Of course, I'm not talking about narcissists here, they are literally very dangerous. But I am talking about those people in a day-to-day relationship, or if it was a marriage of arranged marriage, or if it's a love marriage, or the same set of boyfriend girlfriend who got married now are hating each other, are running away from each other, lying to each other, making excuses to be away from each other. That's a classic case of cheating with each other. And of course, the trigger point is all the way from not giving space to each other. Don't forget, the fundamental need of a human being is freedom, all kind of freedom. And we as humans, if we don't get freedom, we start, you can't breathe properly, you can't breathe with ease and grace. And that starts reflecting in your relationship and so much more. You will eventually start see one lie in a relationship, right? Because you're doing something wrong, creates another doubt for your spouse. If she gets to know or he gets to know something, that creates a trigger point for something else. And if in case that comes out very clearly, that's where the trust breaks. And then there is a chain of effect for the relationship not being working out, or not just working out, right? So very clearly, when you get married, or when you are in a relationship, or you're committed to someone, or your fiancé, or anybody, any relationship for that matter, right? Whether it's parents with their children, I've seen a lot of parents who don't even give freedom to their child. Anyways, that's a subject for some other day. But today, if you are in a relationship and if you're lying to your spouse, it's very clear there is something that's not right in your relationship. And very clearly, you need to go back, dig deeper, and understand why you're doing this. And if the reason is not having that space, not having that understanding, start working on the basics, right? Marriage is not equal to being possessive. You don't get a license to occupy the other person and his or her life. We are still human beings, our needs are still the same. So if you are a believer that if I get married, I'm very possessive about my wife and that's how I'll show my love to her, I'm sorry, it's outdated, it's BS. So very clearly, stop doing that, right? Have a conversation, understand what you're doing right with him or her, and start understanding what is that crossing that line and getting into other space which will make you feel very possessive or not giving that freedom at all. I hope this video gave you some sense of clarity. A lot of you, or rather people, generally understand this, but they are not aware when they do things on day-to-day basis. Please realize everything that you do every single day, every single minute will translate into the outcome down the line, and your relationship will either breathe and goes well, or it will die its own death in a divorce or anything, any kind of a relationship. So I hope you found this video useful. Thank you so much for listening to me patiently. Love you loads. Bye-bye.